Gohan and Piccolo had gathered everyone up, telling them about the plan for this tournament, while our Gohan in the original timeline is much more focused on caution and protecting the weaker team members. Here he hardly has that problem. While he may very well be the strongest member of Universe 7, he knows everyone present is powerful as well. So instead of waiting around the center, he suggests they split into 5 two-man teams. That way those who want to fight on their own will have backup, and those on the weaker side will have someone to help them out. This also has the added advantage of splitting their universe up, as Goku had informed them of the ire directed towards Universe 7, especially by Champa, who thinks the Saiyan overthrew Beerus purposely. Everyone is assigned a partner, the teams being Vegeta and Pui, Gohan and Piccolo, Krillin and Lazulia, Boo and Gotenks, and finally, Cell and whoever their 10th team member would be. Speaking of which, Gohan asks the others if they have any suggestions, with 18 stepping forward suggesting her twin brother. She and Krillin are tasked with recruiting the android, and so set out to defeat some poachers. On the other side of Capsule Corp, Boo and Cell were still debating who should join for the tournament, and the genie pondered if Soma would be a good fit. Technically, he wasn't a full Kai yet, still having his training earrings, and if he was anything like Mei, he'd easily outpace everyone there. Cell instantly rejected this idea, knowing his son wasn't a fighter, and yet that didn't stop the boy from teleporting to their location then and there. Cell nearly jumped out of his carapace, while Boo simply smirked, having suspected he'd been listening in on them the whole time.
You're right, father. I'm no fighter. But if I let this universe be destroyed when there was something I could do, I'd be the worst Kaioshin in a millennia.
Soma then looked towards Boo.
Do you really think my potential is like that of my sister?
Boo stuck his thumb out, almost as if measuring the bug's height, eyeing him down with a focused look.
I'd say it's slightly smaller, but you're built for battle, no doubt about that. If you spent a day in the time chamber, you'd be a monster.
Soma seemed to think on the matter, hesitating as he looked towards Mei, who was talking to the boys. He then turned to Cell and stuck his hand out.
Will you spend a year training me up, helping me to surpass you, like you always wanted?
Cell was admittedly stunned, as he expected his son to ask Boo for guidance. Almost as if reading the Bugman's mind, Soma explained that since their biology was so similar and movesets were nearly identical, the two would get the most bang for their buck with each other. Well, Cell had wanted to spend more time with his son, and this could be his last chance. He took Soma's hand, shaking it firmly and promising to teach the boy everything he knew. The trio walk over and introduce the Kai as their 10th member, which brings up another problem. Now they have 2 10th members once again. Cell promises that his boy will be more powerful than 17 could hope to become. While Gohan had already begun rearranging his buddy system, Boo suggests they wait for the twins to come back and see who's stronger between 17 and Soma. Either way, they still have 10 days to figure out the team's configuration. And so the defenders of Universe 7 wait for the next 24 hours, Boo doing some light sparring with Cell, while Soma joins Piccolo and Gohan in talking strategy. Vegeta and Pui are the first to arrive back at Capsule Corp, both having an immense aura about them, especially the Zune. He seemed serious, as if he'd gone through Hiffle in that chamber. However, when Cell went to greet his old friend, Pui immediately stood tall and began to chuckle, claiming he was now far stronger than the bug. This ignites our perfect boys' Saiyan pride, the two staring each other down and slowly ramping their powers up in order to see just who was stronger. However, as Capsule Corp began to shake, the sound of a baby crying stopped the two in their tracks. Bulma exits a nearby building, yelling that everyone better keep it down as she had literally just put Brawl to bed. Vegeta calls the two utter buffoons for angering his woman, as he'd be hearing about it later, but Cell and Pui are both psyched up, as their powers were pretty even. It was at this point that 17, 18, and Krillin arrive, the former still a little wary about Cell. There was a bit of tension between the two before 17 noticed the kids who were inquisitively watching from afar. He looked from May to Soma to Cell, putting the pieces together and assuming the Bugman had more kids after his previous 6. This is certainly news to Soma, but Cell tries to change the subject, asking Krillin if the island boy was strong. 17 speaks up, confirming that his power is even greater than 18's, which means he's about even with Soma. The android says they could leave Krillin behind, but 18 stands up for her husband, saying that he'll do well regardless of power, something the Krill dog is happy to hear. Boo puts forth the idea of them sparring, which 17 is uncomfortable with, as last time he fought against something like Soma, well, we all know how that went. Cell then walks towards 17, stopping mere feet away from the android, staring down at him with those intense pink eyes. The cyborg is ready to put up a barrier just in case this bug has any ideas, but Cell surprises everybody by suddenly bowing down. I'm dearly sorry for what happened back then. I know being absorbed must have been a terrifying experience, and you can hate me all you want, but neither Soma nor May are anything like I was back then. So please, don't let my sins taint your view of them. Silence befell the area, with 17 staring down at the bug, then cracking a small smile. So I see they behave themselves better than your other kids, huh? By the way, are you ever gonna pick them up? This made Cell practically jump up. His other kids had survived? He'd seen them blown apart by Gohan all those years ago and never considered they could have regenerated. 17 puts a hand on Cell's shoulder and tells him there's no hard feelings. 18 already gave him the rundown on the bug's redemption. That said, it's gonna take a while to get used to this whole Cell turned good thing. Either way, 17 can tell Soma is strong and likely has every ability he does, so the boy should be the one to go. 18 is kind of annoyed at this, since she wanted to fight with her brother, but even she admits he's likely right. Besides, the Earth does need a powerful defender, just in case the other androids come back for May. Speaking of the girl, 17 offers to hide her on the island, as it's pretty secluded and would be their best option. Cell takes the cyborg up on this offer, despite May being a little uneasy about leaving Capsule Corp, the place she'd been living for most of her life. The Bugman reassures her that 17 will be the most capable fighter on Earth once they're gone, and besides, it's highly unlikely that anything will happen, as they'll only be away for a couple hours. With everything settled, Cell and Soma decide now is their chance to use the Room of Spirit and Time, while Boo forms several copies of himself to begin training with the others. The next 24 hours is one of intense training, everyone pushing their bodies to the brink before being either healed by Boo or regenerating themselves. In the time chamber, Cell doesn't see much growth himself until Soma catches up to him, which happens around the 9-month mark. During those first few months, Cell is able to tell that his son is quite the smart fighter, constantly being able to catch the Bugman in a trap or hitting him with a blast from behind, having taken inspiration from Goten's Spirit Ball technique. This impresses Cell, as while May is clearly a prodigy, Soma had to work hard to get this good, probably fighting against Kibito every single day just to keep up. However, for as slippery as Soma was, Cell was far more experienced and just as clever. Due to their healing factor, the two can push each other to the very brink, Soma even going as far as to blow away Cell's entire body with a Kamehameha, leaving only his nucleus intact. That was the fight where Cell realized his son had surpassed him. It was at this point that he decided to begin teaching Kaioken to the boy, though he cautioned against using it for extended periods of time, as he healed far slower than himself or May. Despite that, Soma took to the technique quite easily, even mixing it with his potential unleashed form for an intense boost in power, though one that only lasted for a single heartbeat. Cell had no doubt his son would figure out a way to utilize said power, which made him begin to think about the utilization of another power, one he sensed within Soma, and that was God Ki. He had tried using God Ki before, but for some reason it simply didn't mix well with his body, something Whis was sure to comment on. He also tried obtaining a golden form like Frieza, but once again, his DNA just wasn't suited for that form. It was as if, in trying to create the perfect life form out of several beings, Jiro had taken what made those people special and diluted it. But with Soma, it was as if such a limitation were never present. In training with the Kai and mastering their abilities, Soma had slowly but surely absorbed God Ki, working it into his base and elevated forms. This was astonishing and motivated Cell to try once more, to unlock something he'd always felt he had deep within himself. Maybe it wasn't a godly form like Vegeta had, or a beastly transformation like that of Gohan, or even a sleek new coat of paint like Frieza's, but a fire had been lit in Cell's chest, one that he wouldn't let go out. Once those 24 hours had passed, the two reappeared, and my oh my was Vegeta jealous. Even Boo was surprised, his clones freezing in place and immediately fusing back into his main body. He knew Cell had potential, but man, only a year did this? As for Soma, May was practically radiating from how excited she was about him reaching such heights. She remembered growing up around him, how powerful he was, how much everyone talked him up. Hopefully, if things went well, she could spar with him. Or actually, maybe not. The two teleport over and ask how the others have fared with their training. Once everyone catches their breath, Boo explains that he's been working on getting Goten and Trunks to fight better separately, while the others have done basic sparring sessions with his clones. Gohan is still practicing his beast form, with Piccolo starting to fall behind and wondering if he should get his potential unleashed as well. Krillin has improved pretty substantially but still has a ways to go, while Lazulia has been trying to maximize her 1 hour time limit with the Potara. Cell is pretty excited to see everyone doing so well, but then asks if Boo intends on doing any training himself. The genie tells everyone he'll continue to aid them in training for the next few days, then he'll spend the last 5 days within the time chamber by himself. Everyone thinks it's insane to spend that long in there, but if anyone could do it, it's Boo. He does ask Cell if he can help out for a couple days, but the Bugman surprisingly declines his offer. He grabs onto Soma and May, saying that he'll spend the remaining 8 days with his kids. Krillin can see the irony here and rubs his non-existent nose, but this does make sense. Compared to everyone else, Cell was the most Goku-like person there, so it wasn't very surprising, even if Vegeta was calling the Bugman a baka before looking at Trunks and thinking, maybe he should do the same thing. Zongia wants to train a little longer with 18, but tells Cell to grab her on day 8 so she can spend time with the kids as well, something that makes Soma smile, as he'd always seen her as a mother figure. 8 days come and go, with everyone doing their best to deal with the situation at hand. Cell, his crew, and children all decide to go on a trip to Spacies, using their ship instead of teleporting there. The Bugman ordered a double stacker space burger, May ordered steak and eggs, while Soma and Zongia stuck with some space salad. Unfortunately, the diner was all out of space worms, so Pui Pui and Finn were out of luck, but they could still enjoy Spacey's signature milkshake and fries. Everyone there had a good time, with May even forcing the crew to take a few selfies, even if Cell wasn't a fan of pictures, as it always cut off his crown and got him at just the wrong angles, and it was just anyways. On the way home, the crew looks over the various pictures taken that night, saying they need to do this again, but then a silence falls over the cockpit. They remember the reason for going out tonight, the reason they may never get another time. Pui Pui then stands up tall, saying that they'll for sure do this again, as there's no way he'll lose to anyone unless it's Cell himself. And even then, the next time they fight, the Zune will be sure to come out on top. This is enough to reignite the fire within the crew, everyone cheering on Pui Pui as they descend towards Earth. There, May is left with 17, having a tearful goodbye with Cell, who promises to come back as soon as possible. The cyborg promises to protect her with his life, which Cell reaffirms he'll do at the tournament. He then teleports off to Capsule Corp with Zangief and Pui Pui. There, Vegeta is saying his goodbyes to Bulma, with Gohan hugging Videl while a sobbing Chi-Chi watches on. It seemed everyone came out to cheer on their loved ones. Even Dende came out to support Piccolo. However, there was one person missing, at least initially. Having perfect dramatic timing, Boo decides not to teleport in until Goku arrives. The others couldn't sense his power, but Cell and Soma could tell. He had somehow made the gap between them seem infinite once more. With all 10 members ready for the fight of their lives, they are transported to the world of Void. There, the other universes are clearly gunning for Universe 7, especially Universe 6, who have been ordered specifically to target them. That said, Kappa is pretty happy to see Goten. Wait, he isn't there. Instead, Gotenks introduces himself, telling Kappa about the whole fusion thing and asking if he unlocked Super Saiyan 2 as well. The Sadalin, now sporting some earrings just like Goten, interestingly enough, confirms that he has, and he's not the only one, as Caulifla and Kale are both prodigies in their own right. When Gotenks meets the girls, he and Caulifla can tell there's something unique about them too. The fusion, taking after Goten now, offers to take Caulifla out after this is all over, as he plans to wish back all the universes if he wins. The girl seems to be interested, but then quickly laughs in his face, stating she'd only date him if he were able to beat her in combat, something she very much doubts. Meanwhile, Frost is glaring at Cell from across the way. He wished May were here, as he wanted to show that brat the power he had gained, but he'd settle for defeating Cell in her place. Boo spoke to Hit using telepathy, where the assassin confirms he'd been paid to train every member of Universe 6 personally, and was contracted to eliminate every member of Universe 7, through any means. Apparently, Champa had some pretty lucrative incentives for eliminating said universe, but Hit had a feeling Universe 7 wasn't the most powerful opponent he'd face, pointing out Jiren and Toppo. Everyone is busy scouting out the other universes, trying to size them up, and even conversing with a few members of the opposing teams. But once the Grand Priest appears, everyone falls silent. The rules are explained, and the GP wishes everyone good luck, before starting the timer. The Tournament of Power has officially begun. And that's when we'll be leaving things off for right now. If you guys enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you clicked on one of my other videos. But even if you don't, thank you for getting all the way to the end. You guys have a good day or night wherever you are. That's it for now. Bye bye.